Good morning, traders. Welcome to today's market review. This is Fred Razak at CMTrading. Today is December 30th, 2021, and today is Thursday morning. So tomorrow is the last day of the year and the last day of the month. So right before that, we're looking at the highlights of the day. The market's pretty much wavering going into 2022. This is the end of the week. A lot of light trading expected, so just be aware of it. No major economic events scheduled for today. So as we look at the various markets, really low volatility in the Forex symbols, in the indices, the Dow Jones and the NASDAQ both tapering off. Gold trickling down, while oil also tapers off just a little bit. Stocks, Apple and Microsoft are on their high, so that might be kind of interesting. And lastly, Bitcoin trickling lower. But again, I don't expect major kind of volatility today just because we're going into the New Year's. So let's take a look at the markets and see what potentially we could expect today. So we're looking here at the Gbp Usd. That extension continued to 135-ish level, and then now it's tapering off. So, I mean, for all intents and purposes, this is resistance, okay? 4-hour resistance, previous support. And if we look at a longer time frame as well, if we look at a weekly, that's a little bit clearer that we're at that top of that range. So 135.30-ish level, 135-ish level is a resistance-ish area. So I do expect us to retrace at some point. Question is how much do we expect to retrace? It's not a confirmational retracement yet until we pass the 8-day moving average. Okay, so we got some time until we hit that, at least on the 4-day chart. Now jumping into the commodities, looking at gold, just trickling down just below 1800. And we hit a high of 1818, but still nothing to really write home about. Okay, we're still range bound trading here. And looking at oil, pretty much unchanged for the day. I mean, we came back to that 76-ish level and sustaining it, okay, above 75.55. Okay, so all intents and purposes, we're still pretty strong here. Okay, a little bit of a surprise because the markets are coiling because of what's happening with this new variant of the coronavirus, where it's shutting down certain governments in certain countries. So keep that in mind, the fact that we are rallying here. We may expect a sell-off going into the first week of January next week, so just be aware of that looking at it here. Now jumping into the Dow Jones, look at that. We're pretty much flatlined. I mean, that's a 1-hour chart. Let's look at a daily. We're right back up on our top level here. Okay, now this, for all intents and purposes, is a double top, not a confirmational double top, but right now double top. Now, if you look at the various stocks in that sector, they are a double top as well. Now, looking at the NASDAQ on its highs and also a double top there. Looking at Apple, boom, it's almost identical to the index. Okay, if we look at Microsoft, almost identical to the index. Here we have 3 triple tops. Okay, so a couple of things to look into this as we're going into the last week of December, going into the first week of January. Generally speaking, that first January week, we sell off for whatever purposes, tax purposes, people booking their profits, whatever it is, going into the new year. So keep that in mind, okay? That historically is the case. That doesn't mean that it's going to be for sure it's going to sell off, but it's something to just note, okay? Don't have to take any major positions going into the end of the year. Now, looking at Apple, okay, we're at that top of the range as well. Facebook, a little bit lower, you know, after hitting that 346 top of that range, okay. JP Morgan really not doing much here, unchanged at 158. Now, lastly, looking at Bitcoin, all right, this is where it's really showing some movement in the markets. We're still in a range, okay. And if we look at a 1-hour chart, you can see we're between the 52 and 46. That's a $6,000 range. Okay, look at that. I mean, how long have we been in this range compared? Okay, if we look at just time sessions, right? Just looking at the time, right? We've been in this range since the beginning of December. Okay, so for the entire month of December, we've been range bound trading. For November, we were selling off. For October, we were going up. Okay, so you could look at it sectional. Okay, and that's sometimes what you've got to do, especially with something like Bitcoin. So going into January, the question is, are we going to be going up or are we going to be going down? So, I mean, for right now, we're not sure, okay, because you're still in the middle of the range. You're still range bound trading. Nothing is breaking out on the downside or the upside. But I think we're going to get a lot of moves going into January and going into the first quarter of 2022. Tonight, we're having a live webinar on 2021 in review and 2022 outlook. We'll be discussing lots of information about macroeconomic stuff, and also some of where we've been last year, where we are now, and what we think is going to go and move the markets next year. This is Fred Razak. I want to wish you guys a great trading day and hope to see you tonight at the webinar. Thank you.